Do I look pretty? Hi YouTube, so in this video it's the second part of the Martin Richards interview. I went down to Martin's unit in Worcester and you can see the previous video here probably, if I can do that. So I speak to Martin, find out how long he's had his R33 for. Also speak to his girlfriend Tess and how she got on this year's Queen of Europe Drift Championship.
Change your heart. Look around you. Change your heart. Look around you. Like the sunshine, like the sunshine. Change your heart. I need your loving. Look around you. Like the sunshine, like the sunshine.
So I bought this car like 12 years ago. I think it's 12, yeah.
12 years ago.
12
so
years
what year
ago.
does that make that? 2002?
Yep, 2002.
So pre-Driftworks
Yeah.
then? Are you
Pre-Driftworks.
old school? Are you one of the originals?
Well, I wasn't into drifting when I bought this.
Oh,
I knew about drifting, I'd watched a few videos and I thought it was cool, but I really wanted a Japanese car.
were you a massive chav in a Skyline?
I basically was a chav, yeah. Weren't we all?
I did have a Subaru.
I came from, my first car was an Escort Mark II. My dad had a garage, so we rebuilt that together. It was a rusty old shell, bought it for like 125 quid. It was my first taste of rear wheel drive, and it was like called broadside then, so you'd broadside out of a junction and things like that. Then I moved to a front wheel drive Fiat Uno Turbo, another classic box. And that introduced me to turbos, and
Oh,
I
okay.
tuned that from, I think they're like 109 brake up to about 160 horsepower. And
How did you control that? It's a lot of horsepower.
a lot of wheel spins, but my God, nothing would touch it around town. It was a wicked little car up until about 70 mile an hour. And it drove like a bag of broken crockery. So then I kind of started looking at Japanese cars, and it was a toss up between 300ZX, a Pulsar, and a GTST Skyline.
So this must have been quite new-ish?
Yeah.
Like sub 10 years?
Yeah, yeah.
What year was this?
And it was a lot of money.
Yeah.
um,
Is this like a 96?
96, yeah, P-Reg, yeah. I think I paid 9,400 for it, and I was like the only one in the area who had a Skyline. But it's nice bragging points.
Yes.
And yeah, didn't really know drifting at all then. Used to go to Santa Pod to shows. I showed it for OP Oils for 2 years. So it was like a pristine car. If you come over here, you'll see
Photos on the wall.
photos. That was basically what it looked like when I bought it.
Oh, okay.
Had the body kit.
Are they
Works riser wheels, yeah. Teen suspension, and that was my introduction to drifting that day. So I was at a show called Ultimate Streetcar, showing for OP Oils.
Yes, I remember that.
And met Lex, who was doing drift demos.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it was like, if people know Lex, he comes over and blags a drive for your car.
Yeah.
Come on here and have a go on this drift track. So that was my introduction to drifting, watching Lex link the track in my car, and that was it. I was hooked.
So was it completely stock? Like other than visuals? Was
Yeah,
it being
completely stock. The engine was stock. It had tin coilover suspension, and that was it. Still
Like
had
a-
the forward steering.
was it an
standard
LSD?
LSD? Yeah, the viscous LSD. And I kind of knew you needed like a welded diff, and I needed to get rid of the rear wheel steering to do drifting. But to watch Lex jump in that and just link the track, I was like, oh my God, I need to do this. So
what was your introduction into Driftworks then? Because if that's around 2002,
the first time I ever saw Driftworks was at Billing Aquadrome JAE show, and they had the S14 and the R32 there, and back of an S14 cut up to make a barbecue.
oh, okay.
Yeah, and they had all the orange stickers on the cars, and I was like, oh my God, that is cool, Driftworks.
Yeah.
You know, then the forum started up and things like that. So
You were a forum user then?
I wasn't much of a user, I was more of a watcher.
A lurker, I think
Yeah,
they
I'd
call
go on
them.
there, look. I wouldn't post much, I'd
Yeah.
sell a few things and just generally read through build threads, get ideas for my car, for other cars. You know, watching the likes of Phil starting to compete in, you know, the D1
D1
GP.
back then, wasn't it?
Yeah, and then, you know, Bond joined the scene, and
AIDS Bond.
AIDS
I don't think we can say AIDS, but that'll get beeped. But yeah,
and you know, ever since I've grown up through drifting, I've become very good friends with Bon.
Yeah.
And driving a car that he used to drive. Now,
And the shutter was fixed for those that.
yeah, the people who know. He comes round a lot to my workshop now and
Makes
uses
a
it
mess.
to fix his cars. He makes a mess.
I don't think
but-
Phil lets him.
Yeah.
So whilst you were doing all this, what were you doing for work? Were you working on cars?
Yeah, I was working for BMW at the time.
Okay.
I was working at a BMW main dealer, and that moves to the other half of this business. Is like I do a lot of BMW service and
Okay.
diagnostic work as well as the drift cars. So, yeah, I was working there, and that's, you know, I got into drifting, started going to practice days, and was really lucky with BMW that they changed tyres at 3 mil, sometimes 4 if they were AUC'd and had to go, you know, on the sales pitch. So I was able to take all the old tyres and burn them up through drifting. So that
That's
saved
handy.
me a lot of money and time and effort and everything.
So when did you start competing?
2009.
EDC?
BDC had just started in
So you were
2008.
the original BDC. So you never
Yeah.
did any what was counted as the Pro Series. So you didn't do
Exactly, yeah.
EDC.
Yeah, so I was in the semi-pro class. I started my first competition in 2009, first season.
The year Bagsy won.
Yep, and I won the championship as well, the semi-pro
Oh,
championship.
well done.
And I think I won 4 out of 5 rounds.
You don't brag about that.
No, well, the way I see it, there wasn't any twinning in those days.
There wasn't?
in the semi-pro, so it was just single runs.
Oh, okay. Like a qualification run and you
Yeah.
got adjudged.
Yeah, and that was it. That's my first year in BDC.
Lovely.
Yeah.
I look
in
at
a team called Team Teaki with Noel Phipps, Lloyd Bagladi,
Oh, so
and Cam, who used to work at Driftworks as well,
okay.
was a founder of that team because we're all friends from the area.
so you all Worcester.
Yeah, so we're all like Worcester, Bromsgrove,
Yeah.
Redditch.
West Mids then.
Yeah, and West Midlands really.
Yeah.
So we were all friends who found each other on the forums or whatever. There was a little club.
Did you meet up in a car park with your forum username stuck in your car?
No, I was not like that at all.
Oh dear. No, that's cool. So that brings us to BDC.
Yeah.
You did that for a few years, I
Yeah.
guess, and then you discovered Europe.
Yeah, discovered Europe. I always used to go and watch JDM All Stars events, Wembley, things like that, and watching these guys and European guys like running really close to walls, and it was just another level really to
Yeah.
watch. And I was like, I really want
Because
to
at
do
that sort of time, some of the bigger builds, like the Driftworks S15, the original one was
Yeah,
out.
exactly,
There
yeah.
was the Low Brain Drifters,
Yeah.
PS,
Yeah.
that James Dean was probably driving.
Exactly, yeah.
Or Dan Chapman
Luke
and-
Fink, one of the years, and
Yeah.
Dan Chapman, and Paolo Trella as well. That was like one of the first cars, S13s with
Yeah.
serious lock and the Polish style, which was just full flat out everywhere.
Yeah.
And that really caught my eye, and it was always a dream to progress in drifting and, you know, go around Europe and see some sights and enjoy the world of drifting. So
And meet some wonderful people.
exactly.
So that brings us to your car.
Yep.
So we can have a look at your actual car, not the Driftworks
The
car.
actual car.
Well, I say it's your
12-year-old.
car.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've been lucky enough to drive for you guys in Driftworks this year. The car's been sat here not doing anything. So Tess has been learning drifting even before we met. And she's always had
You are
the-
one of our customers, aren't you?
I certainly am. Yes.
And Tess, well, the car wasn't being used, so Tess wanted to start doing a bit more competing and getting into the seat, and this was an ideal opportunity. The car's sat there not doing anything. It's perfect. It served me so well. It's been so reliable, so she jumped into it and she's done some Queen of Europe this year.
So you also own a boat.
A boat. Yes.
Sorry, an R.
Yeah, I own an R33, and because I was looking after this one and being a pit bitch for him for many years, pit crew, and travelling around Europe with him, it's been difficult to try and do both, hasn't it, really? And funding as well, that's been a difficult one. So I'm very lucky that Martin's been able to lend me his car.
How lucky. So, I mean, do you both want to talk to me about the car?
Oh,
So, are you going to explain, or are you going to...
or this one best
So
explained.
in 2012, I did my first season with Drift All Stars, but I didn't do it in this car. I did it in a Toyota Sora. Which is, Tess is just going to get the picture. So I was working for a company called Pure Performance.
Okay.
If you were...
I remember that car. I do, yeah.
Yeah.
How did that come about then? If
Well,
you had a car?
I was working at Pure Performance, which, long story short, turned out to be a scam artist.
Ah,
Yeah. But I ended up with the opportunity to drive that around Europe. Drift All Stars did a deal where if you qualified in the top 16 at Punchestown, they paid for the transport of the car and your flights to around in Romania.
okay.
And from then on you went to Greece and blah, 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 blah. So that was my first year in Europe, and I drove that Sora. In the end, the scam artist of the owner of Pure Performance came about, and I was left with a car, owed a lot of money. Long story short, he owed a lot of people in the drift scene a lot of money as well. And I ended up having the engine out of the car, moving the car on to the next person who he owed money to.
Okay.
Therefore, that's why the
So this is this.
1J ended up in this car. Then I did 2013 and 14. I totally rebuilt this car with...
Was that when it was white?
That was when it was white, yeah. And I picked up a tyre deal with Altenzo. And I worked together with Thomas Zarowski from Zarowski Motorsport, who, again, in the same story with the con artist guy, he was employed. We were both out of a job.
Okay, yeah.
In a place in Ledbury. We decided to take on the lease of the unit from the guy who just disappeared, and we worked together. Then Thomas came up with the great idea of completely rebuilding this car, so we stripped it down to a bare shell and rebuilt it into what it is today. So ended up complete new roll cage, chromoly T45 roll cage, all the crash bars, radiator in the boot, 1J R154 gearbox and GTST rear end, Driftworks Geo hubs.
Front and rear? Originally, was it front and rear?
It was rear Geos because the R-body stuff wasn't out.
Yeah.
And Thomas and I developed a cut knuckle setup rip
Okay.
basically that was really good. Did 2013 and then Wisefab released the R-body Wisefab kit, and I was lucky enough to be the
I guess
test dog for that.
from doing Europe, you got to meet Ardo and the Wisefab crew and everything else.
All the guys, Bob Matt also and everything like that, and obviously kind of got a bit of a name for myself for driving a barge
Yeah.
quite well. And
I mean,
yeah,
we laugh, but actually, how many R33s are there competing at your sort of level?
very few.
Yeah.
I know of one in D1NZ who I've become quite good friends with, Zach Cole.
Yeah.
Always looked up to his cars and his style as well. There was one other R33 I remember in Drift All Stars, which was Team Bud Matt, and that was Arthur O'Pellier, I think his name was. Yeah, so not very many.
We laugh, but
yeah.
actually, you're...
And I worked really hard, you know, sticking with the same chassis and making improvements as I felt I outdrove the car. And that's probably why I got on so well with the car and did so well, because I understand everything about the car, what it needed, made the improvements, it made step up until what it was when I last drove it in 2016.
Because I didn't realise from the outside that it isn't actually a high-powered 1J, is it?
No, it's 500 horsepower. It's completely stock internals. It's a bit of a special head and a TDO 625G turbo, so it's just reliable, you know?
Yeah.
It's not overpowered that you're stressing things, and literally this engine has done whatever it did in Japan, whatever it did in the Sora, and 5 years now in this car, and the only thing I've ever done to it is break a gearbox, break a turbo, and serviced it.
So what makes this car so quick? Because it is, for what it is, it is a quick. Is that your driving style, or is it the weight loss that it's?
It's had a lot of weight loss. I would like to say it's my driving style. It's definitely the geo hubs set up properly, yeah. And probably one of the biggest changes to my driving style was putting the wide swab on. It just made the car so predictable.
Was it Anglesey, the last round? Did you win that one?
Yeah.
So yeah, I remember just you were on everyone's door, and considering the power and what the BDC is at now, it's quite a feat, I think. Yeah,
it's cool, and I like to think I've done the R33 quite proud. You know, loads of people call them barges, and
I am one of them.
Take the mick out of them, which
but you've made it look good though, and I think that's the issue with modern day drifting.
They are an ugly car standard, but ever since I had this, I bought the one with the kit on, and I love the look of it, and I've just tried to always try and make it look good, and low. And I think that's the difference. I think that's why you work so well in the Driftworks. Drifting is 50% style. Yeah. The only reason we got into drifting was look cool. Yeah. So why make your car really high and just because it drives a bit better? Yeah. I'd much rather have the car looking good and drive it feeling good. Like. Yeah.
So what are the plans for this then? You just
for this?
Just leave it in service and.
Service, Tess. It's totally capable for Tess to carry on and teach her new things and get her into the competition format, so there's no changes needed. Just service it, make sure everything's good. We're probably this season going to have strip the engine and replace the bearings because we don't know what.
We're still a 20-year-old engine.
Yeah. I mean, it was built in Japan before it was put in the Sora, but it's done 5 years of abuse now, so it's best to have a look inside. But no upgrades needed really. I think we're going to put some Geo3s on it, just because they're the newer versions.
Will you go is it twin caliper rear now? Or
we can put twin calipers on, but to be honest, she works out. Yeah, exactly. It works how it is. So we don't want to spend too much money when the car works. Why make it better if it works? And I know full well she could drive it to its full potential.
So let's talk about you. Talk to me about your year.
My year? Well...
In drifting, that is. I don't want
Oh yeah, I could go for a full story.
So January.
Could be here a while. Well, I was very, very lucky to obviously have the drive of this car. I wanted to go out to Europe because I felt that I needed to challenge myself.
Okay.
And I heard of King of Europe and obviously Queen of Europe because there's not many series, or there isn't a series in the UK that does any women drifting.
For the ladies.
For the ladies, yes. So I thought, well, give it a go, and obviously saving up because getting the car over there and whatnot. And I was very lucky. One of our friend Mark Needs, his dad has got a massive American RV that we took over to France. No, actually, it wasn't that one, was it? We were going with Dougie the first time.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
In Dilly.
In Dilly. Dilly the Iveco with 4 gears, wasn't it? Yeah. That was fun.
But you look forward to hills, didn't you?
No. Luckily it was fairly flat over there, wasn't it?
Yeah. But one thing that probably should be mentioned is whenever we went to Europe together, that's how I met Tess, was doing
2014.
Went to Europe. We always found it was a fun experience. It's kind of a holiday, but you're doing what you love, drifting.
Drifting in hot weather.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And over in Europe, the drift scene's, I wouldn't say it's different, but everybody's so much more willing to help you, be involved.
The other drivers? Or...
Yeah. And the spectators, it's something else.
Yeah,
it really is.
Else. I think for people who've been to Europe drifting, they would understand it, but to put it in the best format it's just a different vibe, really.
Different vibe. You have people coming up to you, like shaking your hand, and whereas you wouldn't have that so much. I
think they appreciate the effort that you have gone travelling from the UK to go over there.
Yeah.
So I guess they might have the same thing that we do in their own domestic series.
Yeah.
Like they just you're here anyway. but it's like when we went to Ireland.
Yeah. It's more of a spectacle when foreigners come over to their country and bring their cool cars. Yeah.
Then kick their asses. So So rolling back, have you always wanted to compete?
Always. I'm a very competitive person. And
Too competitive sometimes.
yeah, get rather angry if I don't get things right, as Martin well knows. But yeah, going over to France and seeing me sitting in the driver's seat for a change was a completely different experience. I knew what it was like because obviously travelling with this one, but I just felt, wow, that's something else. It was something else. And to go out on that track, what was it called again?
Something de la Reno.
Oh, Rue de that one.
I think you guys went.
Yeah, we went a few years ago.
And to basically drive around the track first of all.
It's so quick, isn't it?
Yeah, and then coming in at over 100 miles an hour, that was the fastest I've ever been around a track. And to then carry it on from there, I mean, I actually won that round,
congratulations.
which was very good. Very lucky.
Something to be said for like coming into your first real drift competition. I'd say second because you did one round of Drift Cup.
Yeah.
And to be put into that atmosphere with the fastest track you've driven
ever driven.
And even I was looking at the track going, oh my god, I wish I could drive this. This looks
it's so quick.
fast.
Amazing.
So, and
I mean, what's the format for Queen of Europe? Are you thrown in with the men, or is it a separate side thing? And
I was part of Pro 2.
Okay.
And they've obviously got Pro 2 and Queen of Europe.
Yeah.
And because I did Queen of Europe, it's a completely separate thing, but you qualify for Pro 2 as well.
Yeah.
And I can't remember I qualified in Pro 2 actually. Quite
16th in that
yeah,
one.
16th in Pro 2.
Yeah.
But then it translates to just the women in the Queen of Europe as well. So, yeah. And then, because I qualified first as well in Queen of Europe, and they've got a special drift box on the back.
Ah, yes. For their qualification, they do all the telemetry and everything else, don't they?
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I was very lucky. I was first. So that was something to go, I need to do more of this. Now I think, oh my god, the push, wasn't it?
The bug settled in firmly.
Properly.
So you went from France.
Yes,
Then
from France.
where have you been then?
Next one was Switzerland.
Okay.
That was the track where Lignieres, it was called, or Lignaires.
And that was the first time Tess did a competition and went abroad with my car. And
On my own.
Oh, where were you? Were you BDC?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I had to do a BDC.
Was it Scotland or something?
Something like that. No, because you came to Scotland. Which one was it?
IDC, VDC, wasn't it?
Was it?
Was it Global Warfare?
Warfare. Yeah, the one at the little
Go-kart
track.
Yes. Yeah, that was it. Yeah. So
I had to go on my own, which was scary, and I didn't have any pit crew. Well, apart from my dad and Papa Needs, as we call him. And yeah, again, another quite a quick track.
Yeah.
And I narrowly missed first place, and I came second, I think by 1 point it was, in Queen of Europe. And I went all the way through from top 32 in Pro 2 to top 8, and I came against Axel Francois, who Martin has drifted with, or is in Drift All Stars. And watched him earlier that year drive against
when we went to France to Drift GP, and he was one who caused the controversy with Buble.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So I was like, oh my god, oh my god, I'm coming up against him, which was an incredible experience and made me drive even harder, to be fair. And unfortunately, obviously, him being a better driver, and I lost against him, but to come top 8 in Pro 2.
Could you take something away from the battle? Did you know where you went wrong? And
yes, and because I'm so new to this competition malarkey, and as well the car not being mine, I'm a little timid about getting too close to people.
Yeah.
Shut up.
I am.
I need to use that excuse.
I do.
Put it down to lack of experience of twinning, really.
Yeah. As well,
So,
definitely.
I need to.
I mean, you are a capable mechanic, aren't you?
Yes.
You are capable of. I mean, you've got an R33. You are capable of fixing Nissans, and
she's always here helping me in the workshop and things like that. So.
And my R33, I've done pretty much everything to how it is now. So.
I mean, you help the entire team at BDC. You're in there with the tyre machine and
always
getting stuck in.
Definitely.
So yeah, I remember Drift All Stars. You there carrying tyres and everything else. So yeah, you do get fully stuck in. You're not just there.
Oh no,
go Martin.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Go Martin. Pom poms and all.
Yeah. No, you're which is good. Which is why you're an asset to the team and Martin.
I think if you're going to drift, you need to know your car. You need to know how to work on your car, and you need to. Let's not look at that. It's important that you know your car and know how to fix it and can do what it takes to.
And I guess knowing your car as well, you sort of get a feel when you know when something.
To know your car is undoing it and taking it apart and putting it back together again. Yeah. So
no,
it's really important, I think.
Because I actually broke a diff in Switzerland.
Yeah.
And being on my own, I had to run around the pits and try and find another diff.
Yeah.
And luckily I had help from my family and whatnot, but had to change the diff on the floor. That was fun. But being over in Europe, they're just so willing to help you and things like that, and that got me through the weekend. So, and it happened in practice. I didn't really have much practice time either because it took over an hour to.
Is it because it's a 2-day event, isn't it? So do you get a Saturday practice?
Yeah.
So that was on the Saturday then you broke your diff?
Yeah, Saturday practice and then qualifying in the afternoon, evening time, and then competition day on Sunday.
That's cool. So how did you get on then overall in Queen of Europe?
Queen of Europe, I actually came 3rd overall, which was awesome. and 9th out of 72 drivers in Pro 2.
That's very good.
Of King of Europe.
Not bad for a first.
No, average.
Yeah, you know. And I came away with 6 trophies throughout the year, which was really good.
How many did you come away with this year? One? Sorry, I didn't quite hear that.
Sorry.
That was for coming first somewhere, wasn't it?
No, it was.
No. Oh.
3rd.
Oh, 3rd.
Is it 3rd or 2nd?
3rd. Sorry.
3rd, yeah, you tell them.
Sorry. Yes. So I was very lucky, and it's, as I say, it's a different kettle of fish over there. And to be fair, it's not as, I can't even say not as difficult, but the quality in driving over there is not as high as it is in the UK.
Yeah.
So I think I've got more of a chance over in Europe than I am in the UK at the moment, while I'm still getting my head around the competing thing.
But I mean, we spoke about this at Rockingham last weekend, or whenever this video goes out.
Yeah.
So you've now acquired a BMW. Been lent, borrowed.
Yes, been lent a BMW, which is very lucky. Alex Williams is his name. Don't cut that out.
Some man is giving me a car.
A bonus car. What's his name?
Oh shit!
Oh, I hope he doesn't watch this.
Cut that bit out.
Yeah, no. So you've now acquired a BMW which you've been allowed to use, and you also have a BMW.
I always have a BMW as a practice car in the winter, because I think it's really important to keep your driving sharp and learn new things, and driving an underpowered car helps you learn more skills to help you out when you jump into a competition car, and it's a hell of a lot cheaper. So yeah, our plan is we've got 2 BMWs and we're going to hit up as many practice days and as much practice and really work on Tess's twinning and
get on Martin's door.
And progress her to the next step, really.
Yeah, which is good, and practicing with yourself is probably
practicing myself and all my other friends who have practice cars as well.
Maybe Phil needs another car. Maybe Phil needs a BMW.
Yeah,
he's got an S15 as a practice car.
Yeah, so that's cool. So next year, what are you going to do? More Europe?
Yes, I'm planning on doing the whole season of Queen of Europe again, because I would like to win.
Yeah.
Well, I will, then, hopefully.
Of course you will.
And maybe because I came 3rd and Queen of Europe, Mr. Dave Egan, said he would love to have me doing BDC. So I would love to do one round of BDC and potentially go over to Mondello and do an
That'd be
IBC
cool.
as well.
So, out of all the BDC tracks you've gone to, where would you like to drive?
Teesside.
Teesside.
Yeah. Could give that a go. I do enjoy it over there. I mean, Martin and I do go and teach.
We do a lot of teaching at
over
Teesside,
there.
and you kind of know the track. So
Yeah, I've driven quite a few cars on there.
well.
I mean, personally, Teesside's my favourite track. I just think because of the track being sunk and the crowd being around,
like an amphitheatre.
it's just, it is the best.
Yeah.
So good.
It is the best. I think, although it may not be the best drifting, I just think for the feel and everything else, like some of the tracks, like we've been to Liddon Hill, and that's just a bit pants. But no, Teesside is my favourite track.
Yeah.
So that's cool. Well done.
See if you can beat me at qualifying.
God, I'm in Pro 2, come on now.
But seat time, if you're going to get seat time, I think that's where a lot of people go down. They build all these mega cars.
Yeah.
You've got nothing to do on this car really.
No.
So you can just get out and practice. You're not spending all the time building.
Yeah, it's important. You always see a lot of people, you know, who compete and they spend all their time and money and effort building a mega car and then don't get to practice.
Yeah.
I think it's
They turn up to round one with not even testing the car.
Yeah.
We're looking at you for Morrison.
He has practice. He's had some good practice.
He has this year. To be fair, he's done very well. Proud of him.
He had a good end to the season, really. I think after all the engine troubles to do well in Ireland and things like that, I think it's good.
Yeah, fingers crossed. I think we're past the darkness.
Past that, yeah.
2 years in miserableness.
Yeah.
So that rolls
Must get
us-
you down though, mustn't it? Like,
Yeah. Well, I think